My name is AB Ridgeway. I'm the host of the Ridgeway Report, and today we're talking about the 3 things you need to do now that you're retired. You finally reached that permanent vacation you've been dreaming about for the past 20 and 30 years, and you need to know these vital issues so you don't run into trouble. Yes, there is trouble in paradise sometimes when we don't have the right mindset, and that's why today we're going to go over the 3 things that I see a lot of retirees make the mistake of when they finally retire. So what I've done, I've given you a list of the things I'm going to talk about. And I also have one bonus tip I want to give you that puts it all together. But I promise you, if you stick with me, I'll give you a financial advisor's perspective to these things. They look very simple on the surface, but I promise you, deep down, it will help you make sure you have the retirement of your dreams. So let's start. So number 1, we want to make a plan. And that seems very simple. I'm a financial planner, but planning is very crucial at this stage. Why? Because at this age, we really think we have life in the bag. We grew up as children. We were young adults. We think we have this life thing all figured out. Unfortunately, we ourselves are still going through an additional stage, and that is, what does retirement look like? A majority of our life was spent as adults, working, raising children, making money, but now that's gone. We are no longer the people we were 20 and 30 years ago. So we need to make a plan for the next 20 years. With modern science and medical advances, people are living longer. So no longer do you retire at 55, maybe pass away at 75. People are living to 85, 95, and I've seen a lot of people online living to 100. So with modern medicine, we need to make sure that our money doesn't run out too soon. What we want to do is figure out how can we preserve our money. So we're going to do that by making a plan. How are we going to live? How much stuff are we going to buy? What are our expenses? Is our house paid off? Is our car paid off? We're going to really figure out where we stand and where we want to be and how we're going to fill that gap. And that leads us to my next topic, which is the 40-hour gap. Forget about money. What are you going to do with your time? There's only so many times you can sleep in till 12 o'clock. There's only so many restaurants you can visit in your local city. There's only so many states and so many countries you can visit before everything starts to look the same. What are you going to do with that 40 hours? That is where we are going to lean into our friends, our families, our passions, our loves, because the world is opening up to us right now. It can seem overwhelming. So what I recommend is that you take one thing that you love and really pursue it. Now, number 2 is redesign your circle. And what I mean by circle, I mean your social circle. Think about it. You're probably a vice president or a president or a CEO at a company. That was your identity. The people that you knew, the people that you hung around. What do you do now? Well, we are going to choose our friends wisely. As parents, we're really worried about our children, who they hang around with, who they talk to, who they listen to. This becomes even more important in retirement because our friends, our families that we spend the most time with is really going to influence how we experience retirement. Remember this, everyone is not retiring at the same time you are. Your family and friends may still have jobs. They may still have kids. They may be working longer than you. Right? So you can't just call them at 12 o'clock. They may be on shift. But this does not give us the permission to just isolate ourselves at home. Loneliness can lead to depression. When we voluntarily isolate ourselves from our friends and family, it can cause a lot of emotional distress, which causes us sometimes to reach for what? Retail therapy. So easy to go on Amazon, get a couple dopamine rushes by some new gadget that you saw, or maybe some type of new clothes that you can wear or shoes or things of that nature. What we want to do is build our social network, get that strong in retirement, and figure out who are we going to spend our time with. Now, number 3, we need to pace ourselves. Yes, pace yourself. Once again, you're not retiring for the next 5 or 10 years. You have to look down the road for 20 and 25 years. Many retirees, what they do is hyperspend in the first 1 or 2 years. So they're buying the RV they always wanted. They're buying the luxury car they never got a chance to have. They're buying motorcycles. They're traveling state to state. They're going around the world doing the things they thought that they couldn't do when they were younger. Well, there's only so many rounds of golf that you can play. There's only so many puzzles that you can put together before, once again, you become bored. You have all the money, you have all the time, but you have nothing to do to occupy it. So we have to figure out how we can pace ourselves to do the things we still enjoy without thinking that every day is just YOLO. You only live once. Another point that we want to make too is how you spend. There's a thing in finances called the sequence of return risk. That means that how we spend, when we spend, is just as important as how much we spend. If the market is down in the first year that we retire, and then we withdraw a large sum of money to make these luxurious purchases, it may cause our retirement income to decrease in the long run. For an exaggerated example, you had $2 million, you spend half of it paying off your mortgages, your luxury cars, maybe some student loan debt. Now you have $1 million. Well, if you make 10%, you're only making $100,000 at this point, as opposed to when you had $2 million, you could have made $200,000. Does that make sense? So it's very hard to climb out of that rut. We need to make sure that your sequence of withdrawals are appropriate for the market and what we need to do. And once again, it goes back to knowing your income, knowing your expenses, what's available, and pacing ourselves. Because one of the things we don't want to do, we don't want to run out of money. A lot of us may say, well, I'm out of debt. I have no debt. There's no way I can run out of money. Well, it's possible. You may run into some inflation. Maybe there's some damage to your investment property. Maybe the market has a correction and you're still taking out large withdrawals. Or there may be a family emergency or a health emergency that draws a large sum out of your account unexpectedly. So we need to make sure that we're pacing ourselves, just like we have an emergency fund when we're younger. We need to make sure that we're adopting some of those same practices even in retirement. So I told you there was going to be a bonus, and the bonus is get help. As I said before, you're probably a president or a former CEO, or maybe just a really great employee. But things have changed. And most likely, if you're watching this video, you weren't in finances. So you had your strengths, whether it was marketing, advertising, engineering, a doctor, a lawyer. But now you need some financial help because you want to make sure that you protect your assets the best way possible. You can master these 3 things: planning out your next 20 years, redesign your circle, and learning how to pace yourself. You will have the mindset to increase the probability of success. If you like content like this, or you just recently retired looking for a financial advisor, you can click the link below. I'll love to schedule a consultation with you, talk about some of your goals and what you're going to do in that 3rd stage of life as you transition into your permanent vacation so you don't have to go back to work. Well, that's it for me. My name is Elijah on Ridgeway, and this has been another Ridgeway Report.